another level. Let's get it. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. Yeah. Main crew say they weed it. Kicking down the door. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. What? Main crew say they with it. Kicking down the door. Let's go. And switch the whole lane when I'm driving the machines.
What is going on? Heavy Pour Sports, late night on Wednesday. Just got done recording episode 1 of Dropping the Hammer on 127 The Game, presented by Bluegrass Elite. Shout out. It was a great show. It will come out Friday on our socials. It will come out Saturday morning on the airwaves. But, Hammer, I know how you're doing. I just talked to you for an hour. Drew, Ryan, how y'all doing?
I'm doing good. You know, let's talk some. Let's be lawyers tonight. Let's talk some court rulings, but let's also talk week 0 college football. Me and Hammer talked about the NFL last night, and I said, you know what? Screw talking season. Let's actually play some games. So it's here. You know, let's talk some football, and then before you know it, on Saturday we'll be breaking down and talking about the actual game. So I can't wait until then.
Yes, it is. Football is here. Let's. Oh, here's Coach Ryan. It sounded like there was a fan going on in the background. Coach, what you got? It sounds like you got like a in an air terminal, maybe like a hydraulic. What do they call it? Aerodynamic, like your NASCAR going on.
How's that sound?
Better.
That's more better.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, it's going good. Ready for week 0. Ready for Kentucky to take over week 0, as we know that's coming. And as long as they don't play in Ireland, I'm not going to hate week 0 because it's just 1 inch closer to college football. And to be quite frank, all right, I'm starting out the show with a hot take here, guys. I am tired of watching Little League baseball. So I've had it. You know, if I wanted to watch Little League baseball, I would go down to the park, watch the kids, and I don't need it on ESPN all day. I'm ready to be fully engulfed in college football, so let's get it.
What's up, Pigskin? Appreciate you. Thanks for letting us steal your graphic. I'm going to try to throw that up here in a little bit.
PD.
But yeah, I will say, though, it was pretty cool. I think it was last night I was watching ESPN when I should be in bed. It was, after midnight, but I was watching highlights of, was there a young lady on the mound, like a 14-year-old girl just throwing some heat and won a game? I forget what state she came from.
Yeah. She's been in. She's been kind of the story of the Little League World Series. It's always on at where I work, so I'm really well versed in the Little League World Series right now. But yeah, that she's throwing heat. She's kind of saying this is like her last go in baseball, which with that new women's professional baseball league, I highly doubt it with the publicity she's been getting. But I can only watch so much 12-year-old baseball. That I'm a baseball guy, but it's the slow season. It's the dog days right now, and but yeah, she was throwing gas, and I just imagine being one of those batters that she faced, having to go home to your boys at school and explain why you striked out, and I know that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, that was my first thought, and I know it's not the right thought to have. I'm going to say this up front. I know it's not the right thought to have, but I was thinking if that was my son, we'd have a conversation.
Hey, I don't know. The Angels could probably call that chick up right now and improve their team. So,
yeah, I mean the Reds could as well. Even though they won today, but they're pretty terrible.
Ryan, you got like the Jedi mic going on there, like your lightsaber's changing colors. That's pretty next level stuff.
Ryan is an alien guy. It has some alien vibes to it.
I am an alien guy. Aliens definitely exist. I've on record with saying that. Yeah, I don't have a fancy stand like you guys. That's on the way. But right now we're making do with what we got. The stand I had, I'm a little too tall for. So we're making do tonight.
Well, as which I won't say normally happens, but as has happened in the past, T is in and out of the backstage, so he is struggling. He might get in here eventually. So Amber, you might have some orange reinforcement. But so our group chat that we have for the show has been going off nonstop, really all day. It started off with, is Mark Mitchell eligible, from the stuff that came out last night, early this morning, and then it was like, yep, Mark Mitchell didn't sign his Exhibit 10 contract. He's not really technically a pro. He was forced to join the draft and couldn't withdraw. Harold Leader would come out and talk to some SEC dudes and was like, he's eligible to play. And then Tennessee courts come out and they issue a stay, which of one of the OG court hearings that happened, along with Colorado, saying that Jalen Washington could play. And we're like, oh no, that's 3 in a row for NCAA. We were talking about how hot they were. And yeah, they're swinging a hot bat right now. So now we're all worried again. I know, Drew, you are in the weeds of this thing. You can go back and forth. You and Hunter have been going back and forth on, what all this means. So I'm going to give the floor to you and just kind of talk through it, of what you know right now and how you're feeling about the whole situation.
Yeah, me and Hunter were exchanging messages last night, and it was like a tornado going off. He texts me and says he's not eligible. And then I start peppering him with questions and then sending him tweets. And then all of a sudden we're both like, oh no, he's good. He's good. And then obviously the report comes out today. I think, look, the biggest thing for us, right, with the SEC and the rules that came out, my immediate reaction was the whole time was, I think he is fine. Look, the rules came out. These players, Mark Mitchell and Jalen Washington, never declared for the draft, okay? Their name was in the draft because they believed that their time clock of 4 years was over. They might have put out a graphic or, announced that they were going to the NBA draft, but they didn't actually file to declare for the draft. Now, I guess there's some sort of work in that so you can get picked. Neither of the guys got picked. Mark Mitchell didn't get picked. Jalen Washington didn't get picked. So they were seniors. Like I said, they thought their clock was over. They had no reason to pull out, which was another SEC rule that said if you did not pull your name out in time, you can't play. Well, why would they have pulled their name out? Because they thought their clock was over. And Mark Mitchell, I don't know if Jalen Washington did. Hammer, you might be able to confirm, but Mark Mitchell played in the summer league, which apparently, obviously, as stated by the Herald Leader's article, does not count towards NBA games. He also never signed the Exhibit 10 contract, and I believe Jalen Washington never did that either. So these guys are totally fine under the new SEC rules. To me, the biggest problem now is, can their TROs, temporary restraining orders, hold up in court? Now, Jalen Washington, as you mentioned, Rando, he is now in a sticky situation because now his case is on hold, and he's now at this moment at August 26th, 2026 at 9:25 Eastern PM, he is ineligible. Now, Mark Mitchell on the flip side is eligible still. So every one of these cases is different. Every one of these cases could go different ways. There could be different, processes of how these go on. As far as what I believe, if these TROs hold up, I believe both of them will be able to play. Now, could it be a case where one guy gets to play because he went to a court ruling in one state and one guy can't? It doesn't seem like that will happen or could happen, but it surely could happen at the same time because these rulings are different. The states are different. The legal laws that are going into place are different. So it's a strange thing. I don't really see, and I talked about it in the group chat today with Kentucky fans, that I don't worry right now about the interconference rule because I'm pretty sure the TRO handled that. So for me, with Kentucky fans, as far as I understand, maybe you guys know differently, if this TRO holds up, this temporary restraining order for Mark Mitchell, I am under the full impression that he is good to go and will play at Kentucky this year.
Yes, I don't have the inter-conference transfer thing I'm not concerned about. And everything that you laid out as far as eligibility goes for both players, as far as like, are they eligible for a 5th year per the SEC rules that came out? Yes. But this thing is going to be settled in the courtroom. And at the end of the day, all these state TROs that come out and the state court systems that are doing their thing, it's going to have to go to a higher level, because one thing that can't happen, and this is even if Mark Mitchell's like the only dude in the SEC currently who can play, I will say this because it's how I feel and I think it's right. You can't have one state, or I think the two that are open are Kentucky and California, right? Those are the two big ones. So like Jackson Kohler could play,
right.
and Mark Mitchell could play. It's going to have to be all or none, right? They somehow settle this in the court system where all of them can play or none of them can play. Tennessee fans, how you feeling right now with, Jalen Washington seemed like to be the biggest lock of these 5-for-5 players because it happened so fast. Tennessee ruling had already denied a motion to appeal once. This seemed like it came out of left field. How do you feel about, Jalen Washington's ability to play long-term, and then just this whole 5-for-5 thing in general?
Well, I mean, obviously it's disappointing when you get a ruling, but on the flip side of that, I think Tennessee fans are accustomed to not having things go our way. So, it is what it is. Question about Jalen Washington. Yes, he did sign a deal with the Bulls. He did play in the summer league. Said he participated in 2 games.
Wait, are you 100% sure he signed a deal?
That is, according to the interwebs, yes, he signed a
because
deal with the Bulls.
Then that's why then the Tennessee case got went to the holding stage instead, because he actually signed the deal. So then that would
he wasn't the only player that got hung up in that. Like, there's a list of players who cannot play.
Correct, but maybe they have to hold the entire case then to maybe, I don't know, pick and choose. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm the farthest thing from a lawyer, but I'm just trying to, I guess, use the common sense in my brain to try to figure out what could be the reasoning for that. Because wouldn't they have to hold the entire Tennessee case then to, I don't know, maybe choose which players get eligible or not? Because if he signed the contract under the new SEC rules, he cannot play.
So before I kick it back to Hammer, I don't think that's accurate, because it would just be the SEC deeming them ineligible. And if Barnes wanted to still let him suit up, then they would just fine Barnes and suspend him. So I don't think it's Jalen Washington specific on why this thing got going. But go ahead, Hammer. Your thoughts on this thing. Well, actually, I jacked up. I was typing this thing so fast. Our stream currently says HPS late night. I somehow snuck an A in between P and S, and so I have to change that. So you're currently watching the Heavy Poor Ass Sports late night show, which might be the best way to describe us, to be quite honest. But go ahead, Hammer.
I was wondering why people were texting me and that I'm not used to.
Well, I mean, I guess even Twitter has heard enough of your takes that it labeled it appropriately. So is it disappointing? Yes. Am I tore up about it like Kentucky would be if their guy didn't get on the team? No, because we've got Miles Rubin, we've got Christian Furman, and I feel like, yes, it would have been nice to have Washington, because I think he's more that rim protector that we were kind of missing, but we were prepared to go into the season without him, as it were. Then we got him. Now we're just back to plan A. So yeah, I wish that had gone our way, but I mean, it is what it is. And it's just tough though, man, to sit back and see all these other guys who have done much worse than sign a deal and play 2 games. I mean, for crying out loud, we got professional football players coming back to college. I mean, what are we doing here? So I don't understand it. We always seem to come up on the short end of this thing. And I guess we shouldn't have really expected anything different, but it's what it is.
T, over to you, man.
We were talking about it in the group chat. So if he signed this deal and did his 2 games, did this happen after the 5-for-5 was passed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So pretty much, if he did physically put the pen to paper on, I'm guessing it was an Exhibit 10 deal, Hammer, that would make him, I believe, ineligible. Now, there was reports out there that Mark Mitchell did sign it, and then his agent, who's his brother, was like, we did not sign that paper. And then it was proven today from the SEC that he did not sign the paper. And I believe Keyshawn Hall is in the same boat, that it was announced that he signed it, but apparently he never did sign it. So now he's obviously in the Big East at St. John's now. But one of the SEC rules was you cannot put pen to paper on that deal. Once you do, you are not allowed to play. So I don't know. Maybe it's a false report that Hammer read as far as he signed it, because the same thing was happening with Mark Mitchell. It's just going to come down to if whatever organization it was with, if he physically signed that contract or not. And then obviously what happens in the court system.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Ryan mentioned it last week. Somebody mentioned it last week, and I've been like this for a while. I don't even really try to keep up with all of it. I am with Hammer, though. Like, it's not a surprise that this is happening with Tennessee, even though they were separate cases. Chambliss got his, Joey didn't get his. All these NFL dudes are coming back. Aaron Carter is suspended because his agent paid for his flight, which he then paid back. So not a surprise. I was already happy with our roster beforehand. Obviously, Washington would be a tremendous addition, but I'll be happy with the roster either way. So it'd be great if whatever can happen in the courts can happen, and he can rock and roll with the team. But I'll rock and roll with us either way. But if the NCAA is fighting the guys who were freshmen in 22 to not get a 5th year, that I don't understand. Like, there's a lot of things the NCAA could fight. It does not make sense to be like, this is what makes you not able to play when you fit in the rule that they just adopted. That I don't understand.
And I want to get to that. I definitely want to get to that, because the 22 class and the eligibility thing I don't understand. But Coach Ryan, I know you have, a friend who is in fact a lawyer. I don't know if you've consulted him, asked him for his thoughts on this whole thing, but Kentucky's still waiting on, I think Judge Edwards is his name to make the ruling. And yes, I know that the TRO for Kentucky is a little bit different. You can't straight appeal it. You got to go back to that dude and say, hey, do you want to dissolve this thing? But even if he says no, it doesn't mean we won. It just goes to the next level. The NCAA is still going to fight this thing. Why? We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But Ryan, how do you think this thing plays out, Kentucky and then on? Either your opinion, or if you got some legal advice you can give us to educate us a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually not a legal friend. It's my dad. But anyway, basically kind of what I'm getting at is it's going to come down to the judge, kind of like I was saying, and that we've seen, and I know that this isn't a criminal law case or anything like that, but we've seen cases go ways we didn't think they would go because judges hear things differently. So I think it's going to be a big sloppy mess. I don't see how they get this done within a week, just with the way the court system moves. I think that there's no possible way that this could be solved by Saturday. I would be shocked, but I'm I don't know, today that letter the NCAA sent out kind of pushed me back a little bit. I've been on the fence about it one way or another, trying to keep my opinion out of it. But I've been around too long as a Kentucky fan to see these things go badly like this. And I know that it's a completely different situation, but I mean, remember the free Enos stuff? Like, that would be nothing now. So I guess where the goalposts have moved so much, and just with what I know about the NCAA back when I was still up to par with how to do things, which I don't think anybody is right now. I would tend to side that Mitchell's going to play, just from what I've heard. But I am interested to see how some of these cases, like the Alex Safari, for example, go, because I don't quite understand, and maybe this is just ignorance on my part. I don't understand how you could be in like an NFL training camp and not have signed something like that there had to have been something there signed. So like, I don't think you can just show up and the Green Bay Packers are going to give you a helmet. If that were the case, I think Rando would have been there last week. So I just don't. I think it's going to be good for Mitchell, bad for Afari. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's everything's so crazy. Like, we're being told that these guys can't play if they signed an NFL contract. But was it Castellanos? Is that how you say his name, from Florida State? He was just taking reps down in Miami as a receiver, and now Texas Tech has gotten a commitment and said hey, this dude's going to be in our quarterback room. Like, how they like, and Texas Tech should not be out there trying to play the game right now after what they just went through. LSU was the laughing stock, and all of college sporting fans had started to put hate to LSU, and then Texas Tech said, "Wait, hold my beer, don't forget about us." I don't understand how this thing plays out, how kids are still committing to schools when they were once in the NFL. The tight end that followed, from Ole Miss to the Browns, now back to Lane Kiffin with LSU. I don't understand how all this is going to work out. I have this weird gut feeling that the 22 class is going to be able to play, but I think it's going to be such a mess that teams have to really weigh out the benefits of, you're not going to get this guy until October, maybe. Like, honestly, it could drag out till that. If you're lucky enough this thing is solidified before basketball season, how much integration can they still happen? Can they still practice? I see clips of Trimble, I think, is still practicing in Louisville. So like, he's not eligible, but he still can practice, which we saw Zell do that in Florida as well. So also, I don't know, maybe you can integrate them and just hope that they play. I'm not really sure, but let's get back to the 2022 class. Like, what is it? And I don't know, so I'm hoping someone can tell me, what is it that the NCAA doesn't want to let these kids play? Because from 2019, because of COVID, all of them got an extra year of some sort. All of them got to be able to do some extra college basketball, college football, if they wanted to, because of all the weirdness that happened with COVID. Why is the 22 class the one that they want to like die on the hill, and for some reason not give these kids that fifth year of eligibility?
I think that's the argument right there. And when you come down to, what it's going to end up shaking out to be, that's going to be the argument that they all make against the NCAA. I think what you're looking at right now, though, is the NCAA just grasping on to the last little bit of control they possibly have. So, that's what I think may be going on.
Yeah, I also think, to play devil's advocate against or for the NCAA, I'll say this. That was weird. We've had years in the NCAA, we've had rules in years past in the NCAA where it did not favor the players at all. For instance, years ago, if you stepped foot on the field, whether it was special teams, whether it was one play, you lost a year of eligibility. Then they changed that rule years later to you could play 4 games in college football and, save a red shirt. there's always been rules changing, and sometimes when those rules get changed and you're not in that requirement of the year, you're shit out of luck. And so maybe that's the NCAA's argument, is like, look, we've changed rules in the past. You guys can't just go against us in court and try to take us, like, we made the rules this reason. Now, to the devil advocate that I just did, why did they purposely announce this rule when they did, and then not let these kids in the 2022 class get grandfathered in? If they were going to wait until and take a year off, they should have waited to announce this in like January and then grandfather those kids in if they wanted to do that for the 2022 class, or just announced it like at the start of college basketball season. So then you're already damn near through the whole football season. You're gearing up for college basketball. All the rosters are set. All the teams are set. Nobody's going to try to make a push to add another player. Maybe some programs would. Nobody's going to make a push to try to add a kid right before the college basketball season starts. And then you go from there. But first off, they announced this at the wrong time. The rule's also so easy to go against, and saying, why are we the only class that's getting screwed here? The whole dynamic of this entire rule change is messed up, and it's on the NCAA. It's also on these kids, in which I'm all for these specific kids in the 2022 class who did it the right way, in my opinion. The Denzel Aberdeens, the Mark Mitchells, the Keyshawn Halls, the Jalen Washingtons. I'm not talking about the RJ Luis, and I can go into that spiel for 30 minutes, but you declared for the NBA draft after 3 years in college. Everybody told you, do not go to the NBA draft. You're not ready. You will get paid a shit ton of money in college basketball. Your coach in March Madness, in his final college game, benched him, which was a horrendous look. And he said, no, I'm good. I'm going to bet on myself. You take a year off. You're hurt, but you go undrafted. You're hurt. You don't play in the G League. You don't play in the NBA. And then you think you can just come back to college basketball. That doesn't work. And honestly, LSU basketball and Will Wade has messed this entire thing up for everybody. I guarantee if they didn't make a push for RJ Luis, none of this would be going on. The TROs would have been set in place for these guys who did it the right way. The NCAA probably wouldn't have fought it because they knew that they were going to lose. But them bringing RJ Luis in, and then these NFL guys that are deciding that they want to try to come back, has messed it up for everybody.
Yeah, I'm so confused here. So I didn't think the 5-for-5 thing should have even been, and I said this before, like, this was a knee-jerk reaction. You play college ball, you know how it works. Like, you have ways to get a redshirt year, medical red shirts. Like, now that got abused, which is why we went for 5-for-5. But do you think 5-for-5 is the right answer? And two, if it is the right answer, was there any reason to not include these 2022 kids and do like the NCAA did it?
The 2022 part makes no sense. Like, it doesn't. And I understand the RJ Luis, like all that stuff. So Drew, what you were saying is that is what is impacting the 22 kids, this one guy?
I think so.
And
I
mean, Rando, we know about that, right? Like, one person in the platoon messes up and then we all get punished or whatever. But it makes no sense. Like, you literally said you have 5 years to play, and then the people who would be on their 5th year are not allowed to play. Like, it literally, it does not make sense. So I don't get that, and I don't understand why they care to fight that so much. It does nothing. I understand Ryan's point, like, hey, this is their last little modicum of power, but like, find a different one. Go find a tennis player to get mad at or something. Like, this just isn't the one. I don't like the 5-for-5 in that it got rid of the medical red shirt, because I used the medical red shirt. I broke my collarbone the first play of the first game of the season, my redshirt sophomore year. So I was already a redshirt, but I missed the entire season because I broke my collarbone the first play, and I got a medical. Fast forward my senior year, I'm still, and I've mentioned this on the show before, I was still only 21. So it's not like I was a 25-year-old playing. And we won the conference championship. So like medical red shirts are a real thing. Like obviously anything can be abused, but dudes tear ACLs, dudes tear MCLs, they break bones, especially in football. So I don't like getting rid of the medical red shirt. I accept the 5-for-5 because they made a decision and it stops the 27-year-olds from playing and the 24-year-olds. So I appreciate the fact that it's getting rid of that, and it's supposed to give an opportunity for high schoolers to come back in. And I'm not smart enough to come up with a different solution. I'm just really not a big fan of getting rid of the medical. That was my main thing. Keep the medical red shirt. Also, side note, Joshy boy, nobody's overreacting about Carter because we're worried about Furman. It's the principle of the matter, not because we're concerned about
right
Furman beating us without Arian Carter.
So are we, Hammer, I'll come to you. Are we surprised by this resurgence in NCAA power and them winning things? Like, I thought when Colorado first came out and made this thing, 2022 class is happening, guess what? It's happening. You might as well start recruiting now because these dudes are going to play. And in the last 2 weeks or so, there has been an NCAA win streak that is the reason why we're nervous right now. So is it because the commissioners are getting behind the NCAA when they had in the past fought them for power? They're trying to get in lockstep with them? Or do you think the NCAA has some leverage or some actual arguments when because I think when I'm reading these articles, it seems like their main argument is the impact on high schoolers coming into college ball. It is not fair for them because these dudes are older and the 2022 class will take away more opportunity. But it still, in my mind, seems like a weak argument because of when the 5-for-5 thing was being discussed. But are you surprised at the NCAA resurgence of power in winning these last few cases at the state level?
Well, I mean, even a blind cat finds a mouse every now and again, right? So I don't necessarily know that they're on a hot streak. I think they got some timely decisions. The Big Ten coming together and deciding they're not going to allow players who have played professionally come back and play collegiately. They said they were going to block that. It looks like it may be a solidarity stance with the NCAA. I think that's just them protecting what you just said. That's them protecting themselves. This thing has already been wildly out of control for sevevel seasons now. And it's all but just made high school recruiting absolutely, non-existent. Like it doesn't matter. All we're doing is we're recruiting guys and burning a scholarship for another school to land them in the transfer portal. That's really all it is, because collegiate sports now is more wide open free agency than anything that the NFL or Major League Baseball does on a yearly basis. So I don't necessarily think it's a lockstep thing because, yeah, you're right. Conference commissioners and ADs have been battling the NCAA since the dawn of time. I don't see that changing. I just think they both have a vested interest in seeing some control be regained in some of this, and I don't necessarily think that any of the athletic directors are sitting back cheering the NCAA on. They've all had issues with them with something for some reason somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Coach. I think you're muted, homie.
I think
we can't hear you.
I think he froze.
Yeah.
No.
It's the force is not with him.
No. There we go. Jump in, jump back out. Yeah.
Hey,
So
I'll just say this really quick
go
too.
ahead.
It's not like the NCAA has won. They
Correct.
just won a short battle in it to get it to the holding period. Jalen Washington easily could that thing can be done, and he's back to being eligible. Same with Seth Trimble, all these guys that are ineligible. So it's not like they've won. It's not like they're necessarily hot, but they do have momentum going in the way that they needed it to. Obviously, to get the hold, that's a positive for the NCAA, but it doesn't mean that they've won.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out.
All right, good.
Yeah, new mic, guys. A little bit of a learning thing. The force was not with me. I got the force now. What I was saying is that I think the NCAA should maybe just lay down on this one because what you're going to end up having happen, especially after the Supreme Court decision, is you're going to have the Power Five just say, well, all right, we're going to make our own league. And that they will go away from the NCAA. And I mean, I saw a comment in there from Pigskin about going to class, and it's like these guys are making $6 million. Like they're pro athletes at this point. To me, I don't really care if they go to class. I think it could benefit them absolutely. But I mean, if you're making $6 million in college, what's Algebra 101 going to do for you like that? So I'm kind of the thought process that the NCAA might be pushing this to the point where they're stabbing themselves in the foot and just aren't going to be able. I think that they should tread lightly because if we know anything, we know that it likes money. So we know they like money. So if that I think that they're potentially going to run out of milk in the cash cow that they got if they don't tread lightly. So I would kind of like to see it back down. I don't understand why it's just now here in August being pushed so hard. It's dumb.
Yeah, agreed. And again, this is just a gut feeling. I do think the NCAA eventually loses. The problem is, when do they lose? So these small wins that you talked about, Drew, are just delaying it, but will it delay it enough to where the teams are tired of it and we're like, if these players are eligible November, December, is it worth holding on to him? And maybe it is. If they can still practice being part of the team, maybe it is. It's we were hoping Jaden Quaidens could come in December and do something, and he does, and he beats.
Hey, we had to do it with Big Z.
Big Z,
we had to wait till December or January, whenever it was. So,
yeah. Now, again, are they able to time this thing out so that it delays until this spring, and it's something crazy like that? I think the NCAA does lose, which is crazy. It's they could lose this thing, and they could still have to deal with old players in the league, because if they lose and the players don't get to play this season, guess what?
They'll just play next season.
They're going to play next season, right? So, and then do you open up another transfer portal, and then you lose them, and the NIL money, and how does that work out? Because I'm sure Mark Mitchell got offered a lot of money, but when does that money actually get paid to him? When he can get on the court, right? So does he lose some of it? Who knows how that works out? Time will tell. Unfortunately, it's the timing piece and the waiting that's going to really, really suck. But I don't think any of us have clear-cut answers, so we're just wasting our breath on it now. But before we transition to football, Pigskin wants to know where T-Step play ball. So go ahead and talk about your resume.
Oh yeah, I went to the Wingate University in Wingate, North Carolina. Member of the South Atlantic Conference, affectionately known as the SAC. So Pigskin's not from Tennessee though, right? Do we know where Petey's from?
I think Petey's from upstate New York.
No,
I know
okay.
He's from. I know he's from a farm. Yeah, he's always out there farming wherever he's at.
I'll give him that. Well, Petey, so it was about 30 miles from Charlotte, and the conference we play in Tennessee, North and South Carolina. So, yeah, played there. Then a little bit of arena football right back home in Knoxville. So all my teammates had an apartment complex, and I just lived at home with my granddaddy instead. so it was cool.
That's awesome.
Hey, don't be so humble. We got a little cup of coffee with Seattle Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, a couple of them. If y'all want me to tell you how I completely jacked that up. So I did my pro day at I did my pro day at Appalachian State. Time frame to give y'all, this is when Pete Carroll is first taking over the Seahawks from USC. So we had played Valdosta State, which if y'all know anything about them, they're like Titletown for D2.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a really good game against them. So Monday, the Seahawks are in our field house watching film. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But every team thinks we got like 20 NFL caliber dudes, right? So I'm like, who knows who he's watching? So I'm sitting in the back waiting to go watch film with my coach. And I'm just playing on my phone. And he turns around and he's like, hey, do you know who number 1 is? I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. And he's like, man, I'm watching your film right now. And so he brought me up there and we're running through plays and, what's your coverage here? What are your keys, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, he's like, hey, Pete Carroll wants to get bigger at corner because I was a big corner. And he's like, you fit the physical build of what he wants. So we'll be watching you all season. Had a good season. Fast forward, we go and I do pro day at Appalachian State. Average pro day. I was really, really fast. And so I took my 40-yard dash for granted and did not run a good 40. I had run like 4 4s and 4 3s all through college. So anyway, Appalachian State was going to have a pro day the following week as well. And I decided to go do a pro day at Ohio State because I'm like, Ohio State's a bigger university, whoopty whoop whoop. But the Seahawks went to the Appalachian State's pro day the second week and asked for me by name. They were like, where is Stevens at? And I wasn't there. I was in Columbus, Ohio at a not real deal thing and missed my opportunity to, show my footwork and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we were close, but yeah. Anyway, I wouldn't be here today because then I wouldn't have met Rando in the Marine Corps. So there we go.
We would the good Lord works in a mysterious way. We'd have found each other. I just would have known a professional football player.
Yeah. Technically, I did get paid to play. So
yeah,
technically,
hey, me too. I played.
It was only like
I played in the
$200,
Marine Corps.
but
I played in the Marine Corps. They were paying me, right?
No. But the football was my job, though. Like I got paid for the football game. I also had to work in a parking garage in the morning because it wasn't making enough money. So I worked hammer at the Market Square parking garage.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the morning, and then in the afternoon, I would go to Johnny Long's training academy. Johnny Long was Tennessee's strength and conditioning coach when we won the national championship. So I worked out at his gym, and then I would go to practice at night.
That's awesome.
Fun times.
I will say T was a big deal at the Super Bowl, man. Somehow everybody we ran into knew Wingate or was from there or played ball there. He even got a chance to lock up old Stevie Johnson,
That's right.
out there. So it was a good time. But all right, so let's transition to week 0 college football. We'll just talk about the big games. Again, I'll pump it. Hammer went through all 8 week 0 games. We had a rapid fire some of the last few, but we did. If you watched any of the shows covering the college conferences, which was with Drew and Hammer, and Josh Boy was on some of them, and then Drew and Hammer also did NFL stuff. We'll get into the NFL, I'm sure, later in the season for the dropping the hammer. But this show was focusing on conference futures and the week 0 slate. So if you want the gambling side of it and how to navigate winning some money, listen to that Friday on our socials, and then Saturday on 102.7 The Game, Owensboro. You can listen to it on the radio waves, local, or you can listen to it nationwide because they have a little app. I'll drop the link on that so you can listen to it through their player as well. But let's get to the week 0 slate here as we pull this up. Again, stealing this sweet retro 90s graphic from old Petey. We'll go 3 first. We'll go in time order. So UNC, TCU. If you don't know, Hammer, not super big on year 2, Bill Belichick. But Coach Ryan, how do you no, I don't think so. There was a lot of hope there, and maybe Billy can turn it around, but I think the it's going to be a failed experiment there, bringing him back. And unfortunately, I think it's going to damage his legacy a little bit, how it ends up him coaching college ball. Or not coaching college ball, I guess, is how we're watching it happen. But, Ryan, how you feel about this UNC TCU game, which I think is currently a 9.5-point spread going TCU's way in Dublin?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go TCU. I'm not a big fan of year 2 Belichick either. I think that's been an absolute disaster at UNC. I actually kind of read that wrong and thought that it might go all right there when he first kind of got in, because I was like, well, he had players in the NFL that shouldn't have belonged and, turned into something. But with TCU, I think TCU is just too much for him, and I just don't even think it's gonna be close. I think 9. I'll probably bet that, and it that's gonna be. I could see that game going 14 to 17ish somewhere.
T, how you feel about this TCU game?
TCU.
All day. Yeah, it's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
But Drew and Hammer dove into this thing on their show, so I'll let you kind of carry this. And if you didn't watch it, give them a little sneak peek. They can go back in time if they want to. But UNC TCU 9.5. Drew, you think they can at least keep it close?
I mean, maybe, because it still is Bill Belichick, and they did bring in a ton of dudes this year. And to be honest, nobody really knows what they're going to be. I think the same thing with TCU, though. We knew TCU last year because of Josh Hoover and how effective and good he was. Well, he's gone now. So it is a kind of toss-up game. But when you just look at it and you look at the logos and you see what's going on at UNC, and it's not even all due to football stuff. The football has been horrendous. It's also the off-the-field stuff going on at North Carolina. I think TCU wins this game. Could they blow them out? Sure. Could it also be close and UNC's just a lot better this year that we have no idea what to think? They could. Bobby Petrino's the new offensive coordinator at North Carolina. He's always had successful offenses and good quarterback play. So I think it could be a lot more interesting than what people think, but I would be shocked if the Tar Heels win versus TCU this weekend.
Agreed. I do think, I think it's going to be ugly football regardless. Going that far away to play game 1, it being game 1, both teams trying to figure themselves out. So I think it's ugly football, and I think because it's ugly football, that gives UNC a chance to keep it closer than 9.5, at least for a little bit. How the game ends, that could really be the thing that kills the spread there. But Hammer's clicking, so I'm going to let him take over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I know that's when you're ready. You're chomping at the bit to be like, all right, let me get in here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that really stand out to me in this game. And, we've got both teams breaking in new quarterbacks. We've got both teams breaking in new offensive coordinators. Mm-hmm. The game's being played in Ireland, and if you know anything about the Emerald Isle, you should know that weather is always a factor, or potentially a factor. And I think in this case, it's going to be a factor. So, you could have some sloppy weather, which leads to sloppy play. A lot of new on both sides of the field, but TCU won this game last year by 34 points. North Carolina's had a horrible offensive line last year, and it's not much better this year. In fact, they've got 2 guys that were FCS transfers in who are going to either start or be major rotational contributors. So that really didn't get fixed. And I don't know if UNC has enough talent on defense to pressure Jaden Craig, who is TCU's shiny new quarterback from Harvard. And, oh, by the way, all he did was set the all-time leading passing yardage record at Harvard. So, smart guy, takes care of the football, makes good decisions. He's got some mobility. He's not, he's not Randall Cunningham out there or anything, but he can extend plays. And the run game, TCU is just better on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So I think they're going to control that, which means I think they control the clock. And if Jeremy Payne gets going, he could go for $150 on these guys. And I just don't see any scenario where North Carolina even keeps this game close. That said, I like the under.
Yeah, agreed. And Sam, you said it's at 46.5 currently?
Yeah, it's down. This thing opened at 52. So it has been bet down extraordinarily, almost 6 full points. It went up from 6.5, 7.5. Now it's all the way up to 9.5. So I think I've got a pretty good read on this game, and I think we could see some sloppy football, but I don't necessarily think either in Jaden Craig's first Power 4 game start, I don't think they're going to put the world on his shoulders. I don't think they're going to send him out there and he's going to throw 40, 50 times. I think they're going to just play methodical football. And sometimes TCU is a little boring to watch. And this game could very well be just that. So that's why I don't think we're going to see a ton of points in it. And especially if TCU gets 2 or 3 scores, I mean, what's the incentive to keep running up the score? You're, halfway around the planet. So get in there, handle your business, come out of it healthy, and, and move on. So no shot for UNC.
Agreed. But a better game at 3:30 on ESPN, NC State at Virginia. We'll just go top to bottom here. I'll go first. NC State's a sleeper in the ACC, I believe. Is a 4-point spread currently. They do have to travel, play it in Virginia's home stadium. Not only do I think NC State covers, I think they win this game, and it starts their trajectory to go and do big things in the ACC this year. Hammer, I'll let you talk about CJ Bailey, and I think we're on the same side on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this game originally was supposed to have been played in Brazil. That got nixed, so Virginia gets to host in Charlottesville. One number I didn't throw out when we were talking about this earlier is Virginia is 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games at home.
Stat that.
North Carolina State has the best football player on the field, and he plays the most important position on the team. So I don't really care where they play this game. I know Virginia's got, they've got 2 guys in their 7th year, 2 guys in their 6th year, and 1 guy in his 5th year on their offensive line. So they've basically got team Social Security running out there to protect the quarterback. Their defense is pretty good. In fact, it's a little underrated under Tony Elliott. But I'm not sold on him as a coach. And I go back to, we've got a quarterback that is head and shoulders better than Perbula on the other side, number one. And number 2, yes, they've got a lot of new players coming into NC State, but they have CJ Bailey. And I think he's primed for a big year. And if they're going to do what we think they can do, then I think it starts here. I'm with you, Rando. I've kind of thought the wrong team was favored in this game. I think Virginia's getting a little bit of love because of where this game's going to be played. And I think it's going to be close. I like NC State to cover, and I'm putting a little bit on them to win it outright. And I also think it stays under that 52.5.
T, what's your thoughts on this game?
I do like Tony Elliott as a coach. I like the bump that playing at home gives Virginia. I mean, I don't know. I don't do any study on these teams, but just kind of going off of what I saw from Virginia last year, they kind of faded down the stretch, but they came out on fire. And I think a lot of that is due to coaching, having them prepared and stuff at the beginning of the season. So just off that little bit, because I don't really have anything else to base any kind of analysis off of. I like Tony Elliott, and I like getting to play at home in Charlottesville, though it's not a night game. So I lean towards Virginia.
Drew.
Yeah, I agree with what T said. I do like Tony Elliott as a coach. I think he's done a good job. I mean, hell, they went 10-3 last year, playing the ACC championship, so that's pretty impressive. I think the biggest thing with Virginia, Hammer mentioned it, they have one of the most experienced offensive lines. Look, I'm not the biggest Bo Perbula guy. I've said that before. I do not think he's a good quarterback, but he can run the shit out of the ball, and he's athletic. And Virginia as a team runs the ball very well. They have last year. I expect them to do it again this year. The biggest thing for Virginia, they better not let CJ Bailey get loose. All that being said, talking about Virginia, because Hamer broke down NC State great, I'm still rolling with the Wolfpack. I'm picking NC State.
All right, Coach Ryan, round us out here.
Yeah, on America's 250th birthday, one of our finest founding fathers founded the University of Virginia, but he's not walking through that door, and North Carolina is going to smack them down. North Carolina State, is going to smack them down. They could play this game on the moon, and those nerds wouldn't win, so give me NC State.
All right, well, let's stick with you and move on to the next game. Jacksonville State at NDSU. NDSU making their bump to play with the big boys. The Fargo Dome, I think it's still called the Fargo Dome, is going to be rocking. I used to live in Fargo, and I have been to some NDSU games. And funny story, I yelled out, "Go Bison," and I got told, "Hey, dumbass, it's Bison. Shut up," and kept moving on. And I was there with a bunch of cadets in uniform, or candidates, I guess. Sorry, candidates. And I was in uniform, and they didn't care. They still told me to the hell up and called the right name. So I will forever call them the Bison. But how do you think this one plays out? Jacksonville State going to Fargo.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to Fargo, but I have been to Jacksonville State's campus. It's not a good place, but I'm all in on NDSU. I think they've got a great program. They've put tons of guys in the pros. I think that they've been ready to make this bump for a long time. They've proven that they're the top of the top in FCS. So, and like you said, the Fargo Dome, that place is going to be rowdy as all get out. So they're probably already tailgating for that game. So give me North Dakota State. And I think this one's going to be a pretty big win for them. I think they're going to want to make a statement entering the FBS. I won't put a number on it, but I think it's going to be not close.
What do you think, Drew?
I'm going the other way. I'm picking Jacksonville State. Look, Caden Creel is an underrated quarterback at Jackson State. Obviously, they lost their starting running back last year to West Virginia and Cam Cook, but this team can run the football. They have a good offensive line play. I think I think Charles Kelly's a really good coach. I think he's done a great job at Jacksonville State, and here is why. I know North Dakota State's done a great job in Division I AA. There's levels to this shit. Jacksonville State wins.
T, what you think?
I think that NDSU wins, but I'm going to say Jacksonville State just because – to me, NDSU equals U and U equal UK. So I'm going against it. So give me Jacksonville State.
I love how T got there with that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was Rando's home school while we were on recruiting. So that equals him, as far as I'm concerned.
And it was that I don't understand people who want to go there. I don't understand it. About an hour and a half north is UND in Grand Forks. They had to build tunnels so that you can get to class because it's so damn cold in the wintertime. If it rained heavy in Florida, I wasn't going to class. There's 10 feet of snow outside, and these guys are going to class. They stupid. I mean, the kids out there, I will say, in shorts. Yeah, there's kids out there that are built tough. I'm driving to work. It's -20, and the parents still like, "Hey, dog, you're gonna wait for the bus." Like, I ain't taking you to school. They're out there waiting for the bus. It's freezing. I was like, "Y'all insane." But like I was saying, we didn't really get to break this one down in depth, Hammer. So, how do you feel about this game? And I'll give you the floor to kind of give us the why.
Well, this game opened at North Dakota State -10. It very quickly came down to 7.5, depending on where you look, and that's kind of a dangerous number to me. 6.5, I'm interested. 7.5, I'm probably going the other way. 7, that's just a ratty number. I do agree. I do think the Fargo Dome is a massive advantage for environment, and with this being their first FBS game, I think it's going to be rocking because, it's tough to get fired up every year when you know your team's going to win the national championship year in, year out, right? So I think the Bison fans are going to have something legit to get fired up for, and rightfully so. I mean, this is a great move for them. But, Jacksonville State's not too far removed from being an FCS team jumping up to FBS. And all they have done their first 3 seasons is make a bowl game and went to the Conference USA Championship game 2 years in a row.
Yep. So, yes, Caden Creel's back, as Drew alluded to. Yes, Cam Cook is gone, as Drew alluded to. But I think 7's too many points. I think Jacksonville State can play good enough defense, and I think both these teams are going to really lean on the run, which is going to kind of chew into the clock and take away some possessions. And so I like this total better at 48.5 and then down to 47.5. Now it's down to 46.5. So even though I think North Dakota State wins this game, I don't know that they win it by a touchdown, even at home, because this Jacksonville State team is they're pretty good. They're pretty respectable, and I feel like they can hang in this game. So they're feisty.
They are. It's kind of and they're not too far down the road from me. A couple hours. So I almost went down there for their championship game, but just it was too cold, and I got a TV. So I did not bet this game. It's more of a stay away, but that's what I think is going to happen. I think Jack State keeps it close, and I don't think we see a ton of points in this game. 24-20, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm going to go NDSU. That was my home for 3 years. I got to be a part of their basketball team for a little bit. Doing some LRCs. T knows that, some leadership reaction stuff with them, and it was actually they went to the NCAA tournament and held close with Duke for the first half. Duke and Zion Williams smacked them later on, but they at least had a good showing. So I'm going to go NDSU. They've had some time. They've known they are making this move. I'm curious on if they have been able to recruit better. I don't know. They always could recruit well with where they were at the FCS level. Were they able to kind of recruit an even higher level to compete and, especially in the transfer portal, get players to compete at this new level? When Rich Rod left Jacksonville State, I thought they were going to fall off. They didn't. Charles Kelly, new coach, I believe his name, did a great job last year, and I think he continues to do a great job this year. But I think the home field advantage, NDSU wins the game. I think 7.5 is too much, but I do think NDSU still pulls this one out. Now we'll go into Hawaii at Stanford. I know Hammer is big on Hawaii. Got to travel a long way to get here to the left coast to play Stanford. But tell us why you think Hawaii might be a dangerous team for Stanford, Hammer.
Well, the big thing is I'm not real sold on Stanford's offense, number one. And I am extremely sold on Hawaii's quarterback. Micah Alejandro. He's back. They did lose quite a few players on the offensive side. I think 17 starters total. Hawaii won this game last year, 23-20. They were a 2.5-point favorite at home. I think this is going to be a field goal game at best. And an interesting stat, I threw this out, which you'll get to hear again, either Friday or Saturday, depending on when you tune in, because I know you're gonna. Since 2013, Week 0 and Week 1 games, where a home favorite is favored by 4 or more points, and the total is 48.5 or lower, the under hits 68% of the time. That's one of those hammer stats I'll throw out there for you. So this line's already moved from 5.5 in favor of Stanford down to 4. And I don't know if Hawaii can go in there and win outright, but I think they can go in there and cover. I think this is a field goal game at best. And I don't think Stanford's got enough offense to get this game to 50 points. So I also like the under 48.5.
Yeah, I like Hawaii as well. If this was a noon 3:30 game, this is one of the earlier slates, I would. They got a couple extra hours to get right. Hammer, you might know this, when they're actually traveling to Stanford. I think that's big too. Looking at that, if you're going to, lay some money on this one, when does Hawaii travel, get acclimated to the time zone, yada, yada. But I like Hawaii in this game as well. T, what do you know about Hawaii, Stanford?
So I asked my cousin a couple of days ago. He's a high school coach out there. I'd heard that Timmy Chang is the coach, right? And if you remember Timmy Chang before Case Keenum and all, he threw for the most yards and all. He was going crazy in Hawaii. So he's back and he's the coach. And I'd heard that he's got the program. Maybe it was from Petey that he's got the program on the up and up. So I asked my cousin what he thought. He doesn't like Hawaii because they didn't recruit my little cousin, who was an in-state all-state player. So side note, he plays at Morehouse now, and he was their offensive player of the year last year. So he's doing well, but he had to admit that Hawaii is looking better. And since I don't know anything about Hawaii or Stanford, but my cousin who doesn't like Hawaii at least admitted that they're looking better. And Timmy Chang just brings back nostalgic memories. I'll lean Hawaii.
I like it. Drew, you're up next.
Yeah, when me and Hammer broke down the Mount West, we talked about it at length, how much I love Timmy Chang as a coach, how much I love Michael Alejandro as a quarterback. I think this Hawaii team is going to be really good. I think they're sleepers in the Mountain West Conference. Hawaii won this game last year on a last-second field goal over Stanford. I'm not even that high on Stanford, but revenge factor matters. Home field advantage matters. I think Stanford has an advantage up front in the trenches. I think if Stanford can run the football, they win this game. But I'm high on Hawaii this year. I just don't know if they pull off this game.
All right, Ryan.
I mean, in this one, Stanford's the program that would seem to make the most sense to pick here. But like you said, I think Timmy Chang's going to find a way to win this thing, and somewhere over the rainbow, let's go Hawaii. I think they're on their way back. And even though I am distraught that they got rid of Aloha Stadium, RIP Pro Bowl, that I still think Hawaii gets this one.
That was some big news that got drowned out with all this college stuff. I saw I think a Shefty tweet or something that the Pro Bowl it's done.
Yeah, it's Dunzo, not anymore. I mean, honestly, with the last couple of years, thank God, it was a tough watch. But I miss the old '90s back in the day Pro Bowl.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. The Pro Bowl used to be great. The NBA All-Star Game used to be great, and now they all suck. I had high hopes for the flag football thing, but it was a miss. The skills challenges was a miss. Yeah.
All it took was Shadur Sanders making the Pro Bowl for the NFL to decide that was enough. So,
Yep. So we can't ever let this happen again.
That's all
And then
it took.
it was Snoop the year before, wasn't it? Miami Dolphins, Snoop Huntley or something like that because of all the injuries.
I think so. Yeah. And then people just refused to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us the game we saw back in the 80s and 90s or do what they did and scrap it altogether and just name your all-pro team or something. They're going to still say it's a Pro Bowl. I'm like, get rid of that altogether. All-pro team or something.
Let the two worst teams play for the first draft pick.
Dolphins versus Cardinals. Set it up.
Yeah. Why not? The winner gets it, the loser gets it. We got to figure that one out. Yeah.
The winner gets it. I want to see. So you got to win the game. I can't see out there playing. Rando signing a 10-day contract with the Dolphins to go play in the new iteration of the Pro Bowl to ensure they get the number one pick.
I don't think the Bills will let him out of his fandom contract, so that won't happen anyway.
True.
That's true.
That is
Shout
true.
out Big Blue Bills. All right, so we'll round it out. I got to tell you right now and be dead honest, I have no idea about this Memphis UNLV game. I probably won't stay up till watch it at 10 p.m. Maybe I will. When it's a Saturday, it's not a school night. I might stay up and watch it.
We'll be live on air.
Will we be live? I guess we will be live. Well, I'll have it on. There you go. So I'll learn it in the moment. But so I'm just gonna let you talk about it. I have no idea what this game is gonna be. Hopefully, it's a good one to close out week 0. But we finished off with Ron on the last one. What you feel about this one? If you don't know anything, you can also just tell us that.
I like UNLV. I think the entire UNLV athletic department's actually on the way up. After being down, and we know the UNLV of the 90s was competitive, playing in Allegiant Stadium, which might be cursed as a Raiders fan. I'm already determined, but I'm not. I think Memphis is one of the most fraudulent programs in the country on a year in and year out basis. I think that they usually win a couple games and people are like, well, you got to watch out for Memphis. No, they don't. I think that, going to Las Vegas week 0, weather's still going to be nice. Somebody's going to make a bad decision out and go party on the strip. Give me the Rebs.
Drew, what you think about this one?
Yeah, this is crazy to say, but this is a playoff type game in week 0. Both of these teams are good enough to potentially make the playoffs at the group of 5 level. Charles Huff in his first game at Memphis. Dan Mullen now in year 2, I believe, at UNLV. He's built a great program. He's brought talent into the place. They have 2 talented quarterbacks. Both of them are going to play, it sounds like. Both of them have had college struggles. I trust Dan Mullen. I trust UNLV at home. And I've said it on our breakdown. I think UNLV could potentially be the group of 5 represent in the college football playoff, but the winner of this game takes the driver's seat, and Memphis also plays Boise State in, I believe, 2 weeks as well. So the group of 5 standings is going to sort itself out very fast, as both of these teams will play Boise as well throughout the year. So it's going to be interesting to see for sure. But UNLV.
Teasing full dad mode, burping right now.
Notice the beanie.
Yep,
see that?
We see it. We see it. I can't believe you do that to your child.
I keep my children clad appropriately.
That's right. That's right. Raise a child up in the way and they should go stray. And they will never stray from it.
That's right. So both at my JUCO and my university, one of my teammates, same guy, by the way, had transferred from UNLV, and Rando, he was you, right? He was that cold white boy who could shake everybody on the punt return, nothing but green in front of him, and get caught from behind every time. So hit the breakaway every time, but then get caught. He was bad. He was a bad boy though. So his name was Cam, and we called him Killer Cam. And off the strength of Killer Cam, I'm gonna say UNLV.
All right, Hammer, what you think about this one?
Well, when this first came out, let me see. I got the opening line right here. I don't have to make anything up. So it opened at UNLV at 3.5. The total was anywhere from 58.5 to 60.5. And I was like, that's still not enough points for these two teams. Here's the problem. What we didn't know then that we know now. So I fully expected Jackson Arnold to come in here and just immediately take over this quarterback job. And Dan Mullen was really going to build something special with him. Well, now as we enter game week, we don't have a clear-cut starter, so both guys are going to play. And the old adage, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Shout out, Vandy.
That very thing could be said for Memphis, because here we sit on Wednesday, and they still haven't announced a starter between Marcus Stokes and Aaron Noland. So I'm pretty concerned because Marcus Stokes was great at West Florida, but
Division II.
But that's D2.
Yeah.
No offense to you. And Noland is a four-star.
We're going to have to figure out a different tone of voice to say it's D2 with.
Well, I mean, D2 playing.
I'm kidding.
Playing FBS. That's all I meant, man. That's I love you. And Aaron Noland's a four-star recruit, but he's thrown exactly 3 passes in college. Ryan Silverfield's gone. Charles Huff is in, along with 71 new players on this Memphis roster. They have 1 offensive starter back. Singular. Uno. 1. The entire offensive line is new. All the skill position players are new. And I've got 2 teams that don't know who their quarterback's going to be. I have a brand new coaching staff who I think is going to be good. Kevin Decker, who was the OC at Old Dominion. And I've heard people compare his offense to that of Josh Heupel's, with spreading the field out wide, up tempo, run the ball, using those extreme splits. So I think eventually Memphis will get back to kind of what we were accustomed to seeing over the past few years with Silverfield. And man, Memphis was a absolute wagon on over bets, team totals, first half overs. I don't think they're going to get that out of this team, at least not early on. So I do like UNLV. I think they can win this game, and I think they can win it somewhat comfortably. I do like the number even at 4.5. But I'm kind of bucking everybody else. I was on the over initially, and then all this quarterback mess came out. I don't know if we're going to get to 56, 57 points. So I'm taking under and UNLV to cover. I think Dan Mullen's going to have a pretty special team this year.
Yeah, for the purposes of the show, Dan Mullen year 2 at home versus a Memphis team who's got a new coach traveling out there to Vegas. Let me have the UNLV squad get that win there late night. That for sure we'll be watching at 10 p.m. Eastern time. But that
Dan
is
Dan Mullen as a head coach in college is 12-2 straight up in season openers.
Mm-hmm.
Stat that. So
I like Dan Mullen as a coach. When he left Mississippi State, I wanted him. Obviously, didn't work out in Florida, but I thought really highly of him. And maybe it was Dak making a whole lot happen for him down there, but I thought he did good things in Starkville.
I think he's a hell of a coach. He runs a great offense. Yeah, it didn't work out for him at Florida, but it didn't work out for Billy Napier either, who they replaced him with. So is it a Florida issue? Is it a Dan Mullen issue? And Dan Mullen didn't want to
just sent them back because he was terrible.
And Dan Mullen didn't want to recruit at that time period in college football. And he goes to UNLV last year, and they had a great year and picked up right where Barry Odom left UNLV before he left for Purdue. So I think Dan Mullen's a hell of a coach. He has a ultra talented player in Alex Orji who can run the ball like crazy. And then he has a former 5-star quarterback who has shown flashes but has struggled in Jackson Arnold. So surely one of those guys with Dan Mullen will work. And I think UNLV is just a better team. I don't see – I know Charles Huff is a great coach. I don't see him putting together a team at Memphis in year one and think that they're just going to go on the road and beat a UNLV team. Like, maybe they do, but this isn't a video game. So I don't see Memphis winning this game.
Yeah, and the fact that Alex Orji is going to see possibly significant time in this game tells me that they're having trouble throwing the football. So that's another reason I like the over. I think we're going to see a lot of even if it's quarterback runs with Arnold and Orji both. I think we're going to see a lot of running plays, which is going to mean a lot of snaps, and it's going to mean a lot of clock turning. So 85% of the bets and 80% of the money is on the over, and we all know the public are morons. Yep. So just another reason for me to take the under.
Yeah, that's not a guaranteed win or like a guaranteed way to, or shouldn't be a guaranteed way to bet or how you look at it. But I do look at that if the line's not moving, but the money on one side still going somewhere, I'll bet the other side just because like Vegas knows what they're doing. So I knowing that 8% of the money, 8% of the bets are on it, and we're not getting a lot of movement right now. I think it's a good play. But before we close this thing out, we started off with the 5 for 5, and I said that I thought Mark Mitchell and his eligibility and the TRO, yada, yada, with the SEC rules that just came out, meant the inter-conference transfer thing was good to go. And Greg Sankey decides to send out a memo tonight. T put it in the group chat that says, as a reminder, existing SEC interconference transfer bylaws were adopted with unanimous approval by the SEC members in 2023. An athlete seeking transfer from one SEC member institution to another who does not provide written notification of transfer within their sport's regular transfer window is required to serve an academic year in residence before participating in intercollegiate competition. Yada, 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 yada. He doesn't say it in the memo, but what he should have said is, I saw Kentucky fans excited that Mark Mitchell didn't sign Exhibit 10 contract, and I want to remind you, he still probably can't play in the SEC. So shout out Greg Sankey. That'll just be another little caveat, I guess, that's in the lawsuit with the NCAA and the SEC. Because why would he arbitrarily put his name in the transfer portal when he had no eligibility left? Just like why would he pull himself out of the NBA draft when he has no eligibility left? And you really can't pull yourself out of the draft to go back to college when you have no eligibility left until it was determined by the courts. Guess what? You have a 5th year to play. None of this makes any sense to me. Why Sankey is got a hard on to keep certain folks from playing, I don't understand. But yeah, apparently if you just said, screw it, I'm gonna put my name in the portal just because hope and a prayer, we'll see what happens, you might have.
I mean, that's what Aberdeen did, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's exactly what he did. Yeah,
he was in the official window.
Yeah, and so was Jalen Washington.
He did it even though he had no. Now, obviously, in reality, I hate to see any sort of BBN joy. It's the worst. It's the worst thing that ever happens to me when I see smiles on you guys' faces. But logically, it makes no sense to hold this against him. To Randall's point, like, why am I going? I don't know what made Aberdeen do it, and it worked out for him. So kudos to him and his camp for making that decision, because we did see a couple guys do it from basketball last season too, I think. But it still doesn't logically make sense to do that. And so to hold that against somebody, I'm not a fan of that ruling at a principal level. I like this just because it's hurting Kentucky's hearts, but at a principal level, I don't like it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's absolutely bullshit. Like, how can you get punished? And I said this on the other show, and T just referenced it again. How can you get punished for not doing something when you had no clue that you could do it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, at the same time, allegedly, the TRO would allow him to transfer to an in-conference school. Now, the problem is now the SEC came out and they can, I guess, force their own fines or force their own rules. So I don't know if the new rules signed, if they can enforce interconference transfer rules. Maybe they're just trying to put a scare into Kentucky, because I'm pretty sure the TRO potentially did allow him to transfer wherever he wanted. But I would absolutely rage on social media if at the end of the day, if all this clears and Denzel Aberdeen gets to play and Mark Mitchell, Jalen Washington, Jordan Pope, who I don't know his situation, but some of these guys don't get to play. And the one guy that does is Denzel Aberdeen, because he took a lucky guess at the end of the season to enter the portal with 0 years of college eligibility left.
Yeah, so Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think, unfortunately, the TRO from Kentucky granted him eligibility for the 5th year. I think it was the Colorado ruling, which is currently under stay, that opened up this extra transfer portal window. So I'll have to go back and look at the verbiage of the Kentucky thing.
No,
I don't know
believe
that
the Kentucky one did.
it also mentioned new
I'm
transfer portal window.
99% sure. Yeah, I'm 99% sure.
I know the Colorado one did. I didn't know the Kentucky one did. And if it was just the Colorado one, then unfortunately, I think SEC has a leg to stand on. If it was both of them, then I don't know how they enforce it if they end up winning the 5-for-5. But ultimately, I think this is all posturing in messaging to say, like, hey, we still can do this thing, but if the players are granted eligibility, I don't know how they actually enforce it. Ryan, do you know if the TRO for Kentucky mentioned transfer portal window?
I'm pretty sure it did. Okay. Along kind of with what Drew's saying. I know that at this point, even I don't really care what Greg Sankey says right now, and that's coming from a standpoint of it's going to come down to the NCAA versus these players, because Greg Sankey's the commissioner of the SEC, but the SEC is also a member of what? The NCAA. Yeah. So when you look at it as a whole, are you really going to go forth as a commissioner of your conference, look all of your athletic directors in the face and say, hey, we're going to put you at this massive disadvantage right now because I'm pissed off about something, or are you going to say, whatever, I'm going to get the fans and everything off? Think about it this way. It's better for Greg Sankey if people don't know who Greg Sankey is. And that right now he's going to insert himself into the headlines, and that's something, quite frankly, I don't think that he really wants to do, or it really even is prepared for that battle, to be honest.
And he's been one of the best athletic directors in the last few years as far as like trying to make pushes and make stands for the entire sport world of college sports. And this is gonna change his reputation, the way people view at him, coaches in the league, athletic directors in the league, fan bases of the league. We hear it all the time with Roger Goodell. Every time he steps at the podium, he gets his ass booed. This could be the same situation with Greg Sankey if he wants to play this dangerous game, because again, if all of these guys are cleared, he's really just going to let one guy or a couple guys get to play and not let others like that. To me, if I was Kentucky in that sense, I would go balls to the wall and fighting that, because not even for the sake of Kentucky, if it was anybody, because that would be complete BS. Just because the fact you enter the portal and you took a lucky guess and your team informed you to, which wasn't even a smart career plan for Denzel Aberdeen either. He entered the portal. He missed out on playing in the summer league. I don't think he would have got drafted, but he certainly missed out on that opportunity. And so if this didn't fail, I don't even know what Denzel Aberdeen would be planning on doing next year, if he would become an NBA free agent or what that might be, or playing in the G League. He just took a lucky guess, and it might end up in his favor, and that's completely makes zero sense to me. I would absolutely rage on social media and everywhere if that's what happens.
Denzel Aberdeen would have to learn Chinese if he wasn't able to play, because that's where he's going.
Yeah, he could take he could get assists from Zakai Ziegler. But I am curious. I for the reasons you said, Ryan, I don't know if I want the new Kentucky Batman. I don't know if I want J-Bat to come out and like get into like some verbal or social media like altercation.
I say go for it. I say go for it.
I'm curious on what he's doing in the background because Hammer mentioned this when we talked about Zell and why we're not mentioning the weirdness of him going into the portal with no eligibility left and that being okay, because Florida, in the SEC's eyes, is probably their best chance to get back to a Final Four and win a championship. Like, they have a team of studs who are returning, and they are the clear SEC number one. They're going to be at top of these preseason polls. But also, like, not for nothing, your biggest brand in SEC basketball is University of Kentucky. If University of Kentucky is good, and I'm not saying you change the rules for us, but I'm saying you play fair all the way around, and if players are there, you let them all play. Because if Kentucky is good, and you have Kentucky as a top 5 team, and Kentucky in the Elite 8, along with Florida, along with Tennessee, and what they're doing, like, that is good for all of the SEC. Kentucky will carry. It is no different, except it's 10x more than what we talked about, Ryan, with TBT. When Kentucky is involved with basketball, it is going to grow the brand. So if you're going to not let a player play that could potentially send Kentucky on this Elite 8 run with Coach Pope, former captain, Rick Pitino, like all the cool storylines to make money, because that's what you want to do. Why are you fighting it? I do not understand it. It's not fair. It also makes no like financial brand growing sense.
No, it makes none at all. And I think that when you look at Greg Sankey, I mean, one thing that I think Greg Sankey actually right now is struggling with, which he hasn't in the past, is this feels really knee-jerky to me from him. This just feels like, damn it, I've drawn my line in the sand and I'm standing on this side and I won't be convinced any other way. And I think that ultimately you got to look at, let's say Greg Sankey gets his way, right? And then Kentucky gets beat in the round of 32 or the Sweet 16 in March. You're going to have a conversation being like, well, Greg, you could have had, 3 or 4 teams here, but you decided to take your league. So ultimately, I don't think it holds up in court. I think he's just, like you're saying, just talking. But it's a really weird hill to die on. Especially if Mark Mitchell gets eligibility. And I know Missouri is still an option. He can go back to Missouri if they want to drop a player. Like, who knows what happens there. But say he gets eligibility and Michigan, the former champion, or, some other school outside the conference picks him up and goes on a run. Like, how stupid are you going to look? Go ahead, Drew.
Matt Norlander just tweeted this out 40 minutes ago. UK will obviously fight for Mitchell to be on the roster and argue the option for him to enter the portal in the spring didn't exist. Because why would he have entered it? He had no years left. Of course, the NCAA doesn't believe the option should be there, period. Mitchell theoretically could be eligible back at Mizzou or outside the SEC. That's a bunch of bullshit.
It doesn't make any sense. Again, it's a line. It's a line you're drawing in the sand. That the why. Why?
So you can just go back to Mizzou, but you can't.
And guess who's got open roster spots, right? Who may not have eligibility. Like, what if he goes north and he goes to Louisville or something silly like that?
Yeah, because he could. Different conference.
It's like you are missing out on a great opportunity because you want to be stubborn for a reason that makes no logical sense at all. It's just like, I don't know, man. We'll see how it plays out. We're getting spun up for who knows what reason. We'll deal with it as it comes, but it doesn't make sense. And again, I also, if I was a Louisville or Tennessee fan or SEC basketball fan other than Kentucky, would be, if I was hogball right now, I'd be laughing my ass off, right? Because it's like you're watching a struggle. Like, of course, I would.
Not Tennessee. They're in the same spot.
Yeah, but I mean, they again. I will let me go back and I will repost my tweet saying like, hey, when we got Milan, everybody said we were a top 12-ish team anyway, so let's not overreact. So like I just went on this freaking tangent of getting pissed off, but I have to bring myself back and going, we still have a good team. But if Mark Mitchell is eligible and you let him go outside the SEC, you should definitely be questioned as the commissioner in the decisions that you're making.
Yeah, I also say this, just to your point as well. I liked Kentucky's roster before Mark Mitchell was added. Did I love it? No, but I liked it. I thought Kentucky was a top 15-ish, top 18. And then if some of these high, ceiling guys hit, they could compete against anybody in the country. The problem that I'm having is, and I said this in our group chat, 2 weeks ago, if some of these guys can play and some of these guys can't, that's BS to me. Especially when you're factoring these little itty bitty rules that I get it. It's a rule that's been in place, but come on, are we really going to enforce that rule? And if that's what ultimately does it, then that's stupid. But I still like Kentucky's roster. If you took away all of these 5-for-5 guys and it wasn't even a thing, I still think Kentucky is top 4 in the SEC. I still think Kentucky's top 15 to top 18 in the country, can still compete with anybody on a night-to-night basis in the league. And so it doesn't worry me. The only reason why I got excited about Mark Mitchell was because, number one, it made me love Kentucky's roster. Number two, everybody else was doing it in the sport, and Coach Pope purposely left the roster spot open. So if you do that and everybody else is doing it, then you should do that. Now, if these stupid rules come into place and we get screwed on that deal, then that's going to be unfortunate, especially when there was a guy out there that we could have got that would have caused zero headache, and that's Marcus Spears Jr., who obviously went to Texas. We could have used the 15th roster spot for him. Instead, Coach Pope, from my understanding, probably, and just a guess, didn't want to take Marcus Spears Jr. in the reclass because he wanted to pair him and his cousin, who's already a Kentucky commit, in Ryan Hampton. And Coach Pope was trying to get another, an experienced, proven guy and not another flyer, high potential guy, because we already have a lot of those guys on our roster. That's what's going to piss me off the most, because there's really nobody else out there that you could add for a 15th roster spot that probably could make as big of an impact or even closer near to what Mark Mitchell would have if he was added to this team.
Yeah, and maybe this should have been in the calculus. I don't know, but if they were going to be so strict on this transfer portal, inter-conference transfer portal rule, Pope could have allocated or pressed harder for someone like Jackson Kohler.
Yeah. And maybe that's really what he was doing. And maybe he just missed on the recruitment. I don't know. Maybe that was his plan, and then he missed on the recruitment. And he said, "Screw it, we're gonna go get Mark Mitchell and see if we can fit through these holes."
Yeah, I think it was more Mark Mitchell was their clear one, and when this thing started getting weird with the interconference transfer, it was, let me push to Jackson Kohler. And we know Kohler family liked Kentucky, but the money and relationships won out on that one. But hey, it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. It is not basketball season though, so we have time. It is freaking football season. Finally back. We are just a few sleeps away from week 0 kickoff, and then we're on this thing running. Kentucky football on their way to a 7-5 season. We're gonna love it. But gentlemen, I appreciate you. Hammer, it's been a long night for us. 2 shows, 1 night. I know you're used to that. I'm not. I'm fatigued, man. I'm tired. I've been running my suck for entirely way too long. But I'll pump it one more time. If you want to check us out on Friday on our socials, on YouTube and X, or check us out on 102.7 The Game, 10 Central Time, 11 Eastern. Dropping the Hammer, presented by bluegrass-elite.com. We have a new code. It's simple for us to use on the radio. HPS 15% off, free shipping. Check us out on that. And always the sponsor that has been helping us out from the jump, State Line Co. They just dropped more feed to stud stuff today. You can use All UK Ball 25, get 25% off. You can use, is it Coach Ryan 25?
That's right.
Coach Ryan 25. So you got 2 codes to use there. And also, I think it starts, was it, gentlemen, next week? Big Blue Ball and All UK Ball starting up.
Tuesday.
That's right, Tuesday. Get ready for it.
Yep.
Awesome. So new show coming. We got all volleyball coming out, going to be a thing, and then the Big Blue Ball joining HPS. So Drew and Coach Ryan are going to carry that show for us. So content galore as we get into football season, and it'll just keep growing as basketball season quickly approaches. But gentlemen, I appreciate it. Go check us out. Follow us on the socials. Follow everybody you see here. Reshare this thing for us. Whiskey, we saw the comment. Mercy, we still love you. We're still praying for you. Keep fighting. You're an absolute dog. Love you so much. And we know you're going to get through this thing because that's just what you do. Fighting, scrapping. You're a Kentucky fan. I mean, what are you going to do? We don't know how to lose. But all right, boys, I appreciate you. We will see you on Saturday for the Happy Hour show. Peace. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Big Orange.
Go Vols.
Play the music.
On a whole nother level. Let's get it. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. Yeah. Main crew say they weed it. Kicking down the door. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. What? Main crew say they weed it. Kicking down the door. Let's go. And it's just the whole lane when I'm driving the machine.